Welcome to Aggressively Healthy. Bump, bump, bump. Something like that.
Yeah. We need like a Metallica knockoff, you know?
Well, welcome back. It's a lovely Friday morning for our Aggressively Healthy podcast, which we have now kind of stuck with, we're rolling with, and join along for the ride. So as always, we're here to be informative, educational, kind of get people on the health journey with us. We both practice what we preach. So one thing, in terms of that practicing what you preach is, what do you think your most ideal gym client is?
I mean, I would bring it back down to someone who's got a growth mindset, and I know that's a cliche term, but in my estimation, or I'll define that term by someone who is willing to be coachable because they know if they get the right direction,
Right.
They are capable of executing the plan and are positive that they'll get benefit from that. So very simple, but I think a lot of people are looking for either a shortcut or this miracle thing. And it's like, you know what it is? It's just being really consistent, like ruthlessly consistent and executing at a very high level for a long period of time.
Yeah, and what do you think the disconnect is? Because I see a lot of people walk into my office and they'll come in, they're kind of in dire straits, right? They finally gotten to the point where they say to themselves, all right, I need a lot of help. I'm going to see the doctor. Fine. You give them all this advice. You have that client you said that's willing to follow the directions. And they say to you, well, give me a moment. I need to do a little Googling and figure out if it's right for me. What's your response to that? And what do you think the disconnect with why people in modern society always have to defend their decision to do something with gaining their own perspective completely irrelevant to professional knowledge? What do you think it is about now? Because back in the day, you went to the doctor, you went to the gym, you went to the lawyer, you went to the garage salesman, car guy, whatever, who knows? There was no internet to background search. So you had to take that for granted. So why have we lost that?
I think because of the access to all this information, that people are, especially if it contradicts what they believe to be true, or because the guy they follow on social media is where their source of information comes from, that contrast makes them take pause and be like, well, what he's saying is different from what I believe to be true, because that's what it comes down to. I forgot the line, but it's basically magic is only magic when you don't know how things work.
Right.
And a lot of people don't even know basic functions of biology that are occurring in their body. There's a reason why people are espousing benefits of these, we can call them biohacking things and methods and diets and all that stuff. There's a reason why that's a $1 billion industry. It's because people don't know how shit works. And they want to believe it. And I try to have some empathy for that.
Right.
But to your point, 20, 25 years ago, whatever, you went to the doctor and the doctor said, hey, you have an X problem and this is the solution.
Right.
And you didn't have unless you got a second opinion from another medical doctor.
Yeah.
There was no alternative.
Right.
You got the information and then you could decide what you were going to do with it. But now it's I'm going to decide to get more information and more information until it's the information I want to hear.
Well, because sometimes it kind of almost makes me chuckle, because imagine if you were on a plane and the pilot was like, you know what, there's really bad fog and thunder ahead. We're going to have to loop around and go to another airport. Has there ever been a time where somebody stood up, run up to that pilot and been like, all right, guys, I did a ton of research. My best friend is a pilot. Not really commercial, but they're pretty good at it. We definitely shouldn't do that. Let me take the controls and we'll land this plane. I Googled plenty of this. I know what to do, right? You'd never let somebody do that. Because the immediate result of that would be instant death for 300 plus people. So you'd see that change right away from that poor Google decision.
Yeah, right.
But in medicine, in training, in nutrition, in healthcare, like what we do, it's very difficult to get that immediate result. So it's hard to convince somebody that your Googling and decision right now to just try some methylene blue or something is really not the best from a professional opinion, but the immediate result might not be terrible, but it's hard to teach them that down the road you could be killing yourself. And that distrust is really crazy to me. And like you said, that swath of information that's out there to go access, and kind of the levels of how involved the user wants to be in terms of their education, like you mentioned, just for their own knowledge. Like, it just makes it a difficult landscape. And you feel funny because I'm a healthcare provider. Like, we provide something that gives you benefit 100% of the time. Right? Like, McDonald's sells food. Yes, food is an advantage to you. But if there's some risk factors associated with processed food, like, you encounter those there. If you go to anywhere else in the world and buy something outside of healthcare, like, there's a risk benefit profile, it might not work out your way. In healthcare, if you truly invest in yourself, like, the benefit is 100% on the positive. So how do you convince people also that, like, this style of exercise, which is very different than box gym, maybe you can explain it a little bit more, why is this potentially the right one for them in that search for health?
I don't like to convince people. I think it sets everyone up for failure, including, either myself or the staff. And maybe this is part of the selection process you talked about earlier. It's just finding the right person. And listen, I don't want to be manipulative, but the way that I interview people and the way that they should interview me is asking questions that gets them to a point of feeling a good level of certainty and confidence that they can move forward with their decision.
Right.
And then it's simply like, all right, well, let's do a short-term situation where, like, by the end of 6 to 8 weeks, we have a very targeted outcome that we can measure and measure again. So it's not my opinion. It's not your opinion. It either worked or it didn't. And we know the inputs that got us there.
Yeah.
Right. And to get someone to do that, I kind of talk about how did they arrive at this point? Because if they believe, let's just use keto because it's an easy example. I've had many people say, I can't eat carbs. And I'm like, okay, what are you doing? Well, I'm on keto. And it's like, so you're still overweight doing keto. It's like, well, on the weekends I do this. It's like, right. Whatever. It's not keto then.
Yeah.
So I'm not even blaming keto. I'm just this idea that it's a magical elixir of, It's like, all right, well, what if we just eat consistently healthy and reasonable for 6 weeks?
Yeah.
We don't have to do anything extreme.
Which is pretty interesting that you say that, because one of the questions I wanted to get to today was like, well, two things. One, back to the people that need to be convinced or whatever. This woman was on a call with me and she's like, listen, I've been vetting lots of different, like, holistic providers, and I'm here just to find out what you do and make sure you're not some quack that's just trying to sell me something. And then I realized, I'm like, yeah, well, I am here to sell you something. And she's like, well, how are you different than the rest? And in my mind, I actually thought for a while, I was like, you know what? I guess there's a lot of crazy pseudo medicine out there. So it is really hard to find that person. But what gave a little bit of clout to my statement is I stood up and I turned the camera on my computer around. And I said, here's my office. I'm in a gym, right? This is a brick and mortar. If I make a medical decision with you that is not ideal, you come right to my office and we would talk about it. Unlike what's going to end up ruining this version of medicine right now, but it's happening and it's bound to happen, because they took the fast food model of a drive-through concept and just made, like, telehealth just rampant, right? And people just want that easy fix. So how much easier is it than just send some dudes a little bit of testosterone, great, without any investigation, any talking? It's happening more and more and more and more and more. Do you think, though, aside from that and that sales pitchy type thing that people need to decipher through, the ultimate sales pitch is this, and this is where, like, I wanted to get to, because I will make this a sales pitch. And if anyone wants to try it, I think even speaking for Mike before he knows what I'm about to say would probably join in. If we took almost any human on this planet and you gave us 6 months of 100% compliance to caloric advice, exercise advice, meaning if we said exercise for 35 minutes at this heart rate, do these exercises, they followed through on the task. If they need to eat 2,200 calories on the dot, macros appropriate every day on the dot. do you think we could get essentially the exact result with medicine involved that we want in that human? Like if we say we're going to drop you by X% body weight, we can build X muscle, we can really manipulate their body. Do you think that would be achievable?
99.99% of the time, it would be achieved.
Good. And I figured that would be your answer, right? And I think the ultimate step in this is that, right? Like you are the pinnacle of like macronutrient exercise coaching combination with science-driven exercise, right? Like your results happen. You say to somebody, hey, do this for 2 months, your biceps will get bigger. They do. I mean, we went on a journey I was telling you this morning where I was like, listen, for some weird reason, I want to like focus on my hamstrings. We did a ton of hamstring stuff. They got bigger. Like it worked right away. Yeah. Comboed with medicine, comboed with food, I think it's game over, right? Which proves a point that the calories are the thing. So it gets us into the word diet. What do you think your version in your brain of diet, the word diet, what does that mean to you?
So simply, diet to me is what you consume.
Yeah.
You know, like I know there's a connotation with diet, especially in our culture. It's like diet means I have to lose weight.
Right.
But like that's been like fabricated to be almost punitive in nature. Like I got to go on a diet because I've been bad.
Right. So somebody, I was at my kid's lacrosse game and one of the dads was like, what's your diet like? And I was like, well, sometimes it's, my diet has me on less calories and sometimes my diet has me on more calories. He's like, well, what do you, like your diet has you on, it's not a diet then. I was like, no, the word diet is just what you eat. And I think we really need to redefine that because if it comes down to it, like food is the ultimate baseline. So we circle back all the way to the beginning of our convo where we were like, these people come in and they're doing 8 million different things and you're like, just eat well, sleep well, right? So what is your weight placed on nutritional intervention? I mean, how much do you think it's a part of what we can deliver?
I mean, I'll give you some anecdotal, commentaries. Before we started offering full-blown nutrition services and accountability services, our results weren't as good.
Yeah.
I mean, so like if someone was willing to take the advice and guidance, it was almost always better. I mean, I would say 9 out of 10 times if someone was doing nutrition versus not doing nutrition in here, they got better results. And that's why we started to do, it's a comprehensive program. Like, why would we want less results? Why would we want the end user not to be as good as they could be if that advice and structure was in place? So I would say nutrition is, I would say, unless you've already been eating very clean or sensibly or, your routine has worked in the past, the lifting would then take, precedent over the results.
Right.
But I would say 80 to 85% of the time, nutrition is the big difference maker.
Yeah. Now, trickle down effect, right? From adult to kid nutrition. Why do you think we just don't give a shit about our kids' nutrition? Because, I mean, I know we say we do, and everybody says we do, but I have never heard yet of, like, really kids raving about school lunch or school experience with food, and I don't really know why. Maybe it's a different style of flavoring, delivery, whatever, but, why can't we make that a priority? Why can't we make nutrition at that level a priority? Because it affects mental and physical well-being, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think I'm a little old school when it comes to pediatric nutrition. And it's probably because I'm biased by my own kids' upbringing, and my kids are, extremely active, and they eat crap. I mean, I'm not perfect in any way.
Right.
We try to make sure that they eat a sensible, well-rounded diet, but a 5 and a 10-year-old doesn't do that all the time. And we also know that just getting calories in at that stage of development is really important.
Yeah.
So if we were to say you can only eat chicken, rice, and broccoli, and they didn't eat it, it would be way worse for them if we didn't allow them to have gummy bears and cereal and Eggo waffles and all that stuff. What I think is part of the problem is that parents today are less likely to say no, and want to be more of a friend than actually a parent.
Yeah.
And that's a tough spot, and I get that, and I, again, empathize with that. But I don't think it has to be so black and white. The problem, again, sorry, I'm kind of going all over the place.
No, go.
But I think part of the problem is that we don't actually try to intervene until it's already a problem with kids.
Right.
You know, whether that be too much social media,
Yeah.
too much food, not enough good food, not sleep or good sleep patterns, stuff like that. It's like we should probably be sprinkling in those lessons before, just to make sure that they have an opportunity to get that upside.
Yeah, I had a conversation with a client that was very interesting and gave me a lot of insight. I think helped them quite a bit too. The mother was on a little bit of a weight loss journey, and the father and the kids, and the mother said, well, one of the children is a little overweight, right? And she's 9. I said, how overweight? She's like quite overweight. Like BMI was like in the high 30s. So we started talking. And even as a very educated, successful, professional human, lots of insight on lots of different things in life, it took an hour of essentially talking about it that we finally got down to the fact that she eats really poorly. She goes to the store and buys not good stuff that's around the house. So then the kid eats really poorly. So it comes down to the 9-year-old can't go shopping.
Yeah.
Right? So it's a scary medical environment to me that they now offer like bariatric surgeries, and we're starting to get into the GLP-1s, and we're starting to really get into that weird zone where we're intervening with kids on things that can definitely be prevented.
Yeah.
And whatever it is, like if it's the environment, if it's the processed food, if it's the parent, if it's, I don't know. If it's genetics, maybe we study those more.
Yeah.
But whatever it is, there's a reason why the pediatric population is getting sicker, right? And school lunches are a thing. School sports are a thing. School activity are a thing. iPads, electronics, like all of these things are going to contribute to it. And part of this conversation, this might be a little haphazard all over the place, is all of those things matter in the pediatric population, and everything matters in the adult. And that perfect fix, like we started out this entire conversation with, where it's, oh, I want the pill, or I want this. When people sit in my office, I say to them, it's everything. So when they come back in, they say, I feel much better. I don't know if it's the eating better. I don't know if it's the vitamins. I don't know if it's the hormones. I don't know if it's the cholesterol control. I don't know if it's the exercise. You know what it is? It's all of it.
Yeah, right.
It's everything, right? So I don't know how we can really quantify each piece when it all matters, right?
And when they amplify one another.
Yeah, so maybe...
Like, you can see this on the medical side. It's like, all right, well, if you're not sleeping good, don't have a good relationship with food, not working out, it's like, what do the hormones actually do?
Right.
Minimal.
But
now it's putting gasoline on a fire when you're doing all those behavioral modifications.
Right. And it's enhancing your result to
100%.
the point where it should be.
Yeah. I mean, so the way that I look at the medical piece right now is because, like we've been doing what we've been doing for a couple years prior to this.
Yeah.
What I think is the greatest benefit of offering the medical side of things is that you're allowed to pull the future closer to you faster.
Yeah, yeah.
So let's just say that person is going to do the workouts, eat the food, sleep, not drink alcohol, blah, 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 blah. If they do that and it's in 6 months, they get the result. If they're doing the things with you, let's just say it's 3 months.
Yeah.
So you're able to pull the future state forward faster by doing both sides of these services,
which is,
I mean,
can't be beat.
It's amazing,
right? Enhanced speed to which you get to your result.
It's everything
with a really satisfying process.
Because, you think about the downside. Like, if you can eliminate a disease, if you can, make sure that you never get to stage 3, time is everything at some point. And if we're able to expedite the result, as well as provide the stability to continue that result or even improve upon it, now we're talking decades of a different organism that's going to have, a fantastic experience through life.
Yeah, and I think health in general is just like at some point the corporate or business environment or whatever stole the autonomy of your health. And it was done on purpose, right? Like, if they can get a grip on we control your health and you convince yourself that you don't, you'll buy into their system. And they did that by making it such an extreme cost to die. Meaning, if you get a terminal illness, that is really, really expensive to pay for, right? But if you just go through your days kind of following the rules and not really like wavering, and you just kind of eat what you need to eat and just make it to 70 without making a lot of noise, you're really cheap to the system. But those rules are very easy to follow, but they show you how expensive it is to die, right? Yeah. So ICU costs $300,000, right? Meanwhile, the health insurance industry is billions of dollars in profit. So if somebody right in front of you is telling you, hey, give me money, I'm going to pay you back to give you your health, and they're making billions and billions and billions, and your health is getting worse chronically, which is the population of the United States. Like, at what point do you say enough is enough, right? Like, when are you like, well, that's not... So they strip that autonomy so you feel like you have no control of your health because of that damage control insurance. But the beauty is, and what we're trying to do is restore that confidence that you actually have control over your health, right? You are the ultimate decider if you're going to be healthy or not. Nobody, I mean, there's outliers to everything, but nobody's forcing bad food down people's throats. Now, kids can't really decide, so that's a parenting issue, education. But all of your decisions are most likely up to you in terms of trying to do some exercise or trying to be proactive, right? Environmental issues I get. But how do you feel like we can best empower the user, right? Because I think that's the whole thing. Like, not let people get to the point where they feel, oh my God, this is it. I made it this far. I hope I get to 60, and that'll be great. But because, fuck, I don't know. Right now, I'm not kidding you. I feel like I want to live till I'm 180.
Yeah.
If I feel like this at 90, I'm good to go. Which, by the way, side note, don't lose total track. Do you remember Albina Canavaciola?
Of course.
So big shout out to her. Unfortunately, I saw her at a very sad event yesterday, but she's 91 and like tearing it up. Math teacher, involved in like community outreach, like constantly active. And I said, what do you think your secret is? And she's like, I don't stop letting my brain work.
Yeah.
But how do we pitch that autonomous thing to the people to try to get them to reclaim their health, because we've been stripped of it?
Yeah, I mean, so obviously a fairly complicated issue, and I think a lot of it comes to someone's identity.
Yeah.
And again, I like to define terms, and identity can be very well tied to the things that you do. So when you speak about empowerment, people who feel most empowered are people that do shit.
Right.
The people that feel victimized or victims usually are not doers. So then it's like, well, what are the actions that you have to repeat that creates success?
Yeah.
Because if you're not doing them, you have to do them. If you're doing them but not getting the result, maybe you have to do more of them.
Right.
Right. So to me, it's all about getting the person to do something so that they get the benefit of the act itself. Right? Like doing, like if you come to the gym,
feel the progress,
and you're like, well, I like, cause like some of this stuff takes a while. If you're going to lose 30 pounds and you come to the gym for, a week straight, 3 days, you might not lose a pound.
Right.
But the inputs, the act of doing those things are better than what you were doing.
Yes.
So it's the realization that what you're doing on a long enough timeline, it would become unreasonable that you don't get better.
Yeah.
Significantly better.
Yeah.
And then the outcome measure is the outcome measure. Whether you lose the 30 pounds in the 2 months or 20 pounds in 3 months, whatever it may be, if you're doing an act that's better than what you were doing prior to that, you're in a better place.
Right.
So the lagging indicator is the scale, right? But it's important to be in front of the leading indicators of the act itself. And that's where empowerment, like the understanding that, man, if I just do this a little longer, if I do this a little harder, and then when you do it and you actually embrace it, you get better at it and you enjoy it more.
Yeah.
So your quality of life, just by doing the act, improves.
Have you ever met anyone who's come to the gym, followed your program, gotten the result, and been like, fuck, that sucks. I wish I didn't do that? Never.
No. I mean, listen. There's always sacrifice.
Yeah.
Like I think a lot of the things worth having are on the other side of sacrifice and suffering.
Sure. Yeah.
But I think most people then feel more empowered because they realize that they had what they had to give up to get there.
Yeah.
And that again reinforces the identity that they must have to keep going. Because it's the only assurance that you have is that you're doing it. Right? Like otherwise it's an unknown. Otherwise it's magic. Right. You don't know how it works.
Well, you know what's funny is health and being fit is almost like magic to the average population. Because,
totally.
Like I'll go places and it'll be like, oh, what are you doing? Oh, you must waste so much time on your health. And then I think, like, how perverted is that statement? Like, you must waste so much time on your health. Like, that's more insane to me than
I don't even know what that means.
Doctors recommending alcohol in any amount, right? That'd be like cops being like, listen, 35 murders this year, really bad. That's binge murdering. We don't want that. But if you murder once or twice on the weekends here and there, that's okay.
We'll deal with it.
We'll deal with that amount of murder, right? That's E2H. That's how dumb it looks. But yeah, it's I think the progress, the process and going through it is what makes it fruitful. But it's very hard to show people that the other side is better, right? They have to jump on that. And by default, maybe your experience is different. Most of the people that walk into my office, by the end of whatever time we're interacting with, from time 0 beyond, they show benefits in everything. Like, they're like, oh, work is more fun and my life is more fun, right? There's benefit to all of it. Do you see the same in the exercise world?
Do I see the same?
Like they, not just their physique gets better, but like everything.
Everything improves.
Everything improves.
Like, again, like, life doesn't happen in a vacuum.
Right.
Right. So if you take, like, I like using extreme analogies. Like, if you were playing in the Super Bowl on Sunday,
right,
what would you do today to prepare for your best? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I've yet to hear a Super Bowl champion be like, you know what? I'm glad I stayed up late last night.
Yeah.
Glad I had those wings and got a couple beers in me before the big game. No one ever says that.
Who was the safety from the Saints? Do you remember who got benched the night before the Super Bowl? Sean Payton's one of his years.
Oh, yeah.
He went out at night and was like,
I think Eugene Robinson got caught with a prostitute.
That was it.
I think that was...
Was he a running back?
No, he was a safety for the Atlanta Falcons in 1998.
Wrong team.
When they played Denver. Yeah. I'm almost positive that was like freshman year in college.
Wrong player, wrong team.
We'll do a fact check. Marcus, get a fact check on that. Come on.
By the way, not the
side
note, but Marcus looks adorable today. His haircut is nice and poofy.
He tucked his sweatpants into his socks, which is a thing
now. His
beard
is spectacular. You can chime in, buddy. We're trying to get him a mic, by the way. So, actually, this would be a good way in from the audience, man. Do you guys want to hear a little more from Marcus?
Check. You hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Cool.
That's Marcus.
That's
Marcus,
fantastic.
when you're at a supermarket, are you a cart guy or are you like a hand basket guy?
The basket.
I knew it.
Yeah. How do you know it?
Or the short cart?
No. We don't do short cart.
No.
Basket.
Basket.
Yeah.
But you live by yourself.
Yeah, he's a single 23-year-old.
Yeah. Ladies, he is single. No, he's not. I'm just kidding. He's not. So back to the real health talk. Kids, pediatrics, the perfect human. So my ultimate question is this. If you got access to, say, I don't know, and I'm not speaking in like Chinese communist gymnastics world, but now I see why they could do what they did. If you got access to a youthful human in there, maybe between 5 and 10 years old, and we tracked and we did all their nutrition and exercise alone without medical involvement, imagine the benefit we would get, right? Like individualized care. Imagine if we did that in the medical field, right? When is the last time either of your children had any blood drawn that was investigated beyond just like, oh, their white blood cell count's normal?
They've never been checked
So,
unless there was some issue that they had to investigate.
Yeah, you ever see a kid run around who looks like a little pale and like their eyes look a little whiter than
the dark?
Yeah, like there's definitely kids running around with things that are wrong, right?
Yeah.
Like from a medical perspective, anemia, like I just see things that look off that if they were an adult, I'd be like, hey, go see a doctor. We need to check you out. So I think if we were to get to the perfect medical healthcare space, it would be intervention in terms of aggressively healthy starting from like day one. Because I think caloric intake, exercise, your mindset, like all of these things are a big deal. So why do we wait? If we think we need to be the best at whatever we are, why do we wait to employ like the mental health experts and all these other people when the athlete or the human becomes a professional? Right? Like if you're already a professional, you have a very good skill set relative to the general population. Why are we not forcing life coaches on the general population to make them all professionals at life? Does that make sense?
I think we've been conditioned to think that you only seek help when you can identify an overt problem. Except in the case where, I'll use sports again. It's an easy analogy. It's like whatever got you, and you can speak on this, whatever made you successful in high school, when you got to college, do you think you could just do that again?
Right.
Or do you be like, oh shit, I'm at the next level, which then means my habits, my behaviors, everything else has to level up as well.
Yes.
And I'm sure when you go from college to pro, the people that don't really cut it in the pros try to stick to old habits.
Right.
They don't evolve, right?
Yep.
But the guys that are the most successful, like go pay the mental skills coach and the strength and conditioning coach and the nutritionist, like all the, like LeBron James spends $1 million a year on his body.
Yeah.
I don't even know what that looks like, but that's an investment because that $1 million makes him a billionaire, over the 20 years of his career. And it's this fallacy of thinking, when I'm sick, I will then seek help rather than I don't need to be sick to be better.
Yeah.
It's a totally, and that's where most high performers, especially in sports, they're like, what else can I do to improve my chances of being successful at a level that no one can touch?
Right.
But we don't do that whether we're a professional lawyer, a professional business owner, a professional mom.
Yeah.
Like we just don't think about it in that terms. We only operate in the rears.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's kind of sad. I mean, I remember as a resident, my third year, they had a mandatory nap time or something. Whatever. I don't know. They started putting this thing in. And at the time, I had that exact reaction, like, oh, you don't need a nap. Blah, 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 blah. But looking back, it's kind of insanity to think, I'm going to keep people up all night. They're going to work like savages covering 30 different calls every 20 minutes, like thinking in 90 different ways with so much detail to be absorbed or missed. Half of what's missed isn't even known that it's missed because it's just not even known to be there. And these are the people like taking care of you in the hospital at midnight. So when you get shot for whatever reason, or say you get in a car accident at 2:30 in the morning, like I don't care where you are, you're rolling in. They might be the best trauma team on the planet, but they'd be way better trauma team if they just woke up out of bed, had a coffee, a nice stretch, exercised, and then got to take care of you. Mm. So even the medical profession itself presents you with hypocrisy in terms of so you're going to shit on your workers. You're going to keep your residents up all night. You're going to overwork them, underpay them, but you're going to preach health. Tell me.
Yeah.
I don't know. Does that make sense? I remember the chief of our department when I was a resident, Dr. Udelsman, who I couldn't stand, right? His bedside manner was crap. And he's in there trying to tell me how to take care of patients, but he didn't even know my name after 6 years. Come on, buddy, right? Be professional. So if you lead by example, things are different. But the whole medical institution itself, that's half of their deal, right? You have sweaty, overweight doctors prescribing meds and telling people to be healthy and just not living it themselves.
Well, I also think we share a unique perspective on performance.
Right.
We both were athletes. We both knew what it took to, whatever, but we've never abandoned that idea of whatever we do, it's performance based.
Right.
And it just is a matter of context. So I look at, again, a lawyer, the amount of output, that's how he prepares to go to work,
Yeah.
prepares to defend a client, prepares to do a brief, whatever it is,
Right.
that's his performance outcome.
Yeah.
Right. So like, why wouldn't you get good sleep?
Yeah.
Make sure you eat, make sure you exercise, make sure your cardiovascular fitness is there. You know, like all these little one-offs, like you can't convince me that two people with the same skills, but one's healthier, sleeps better, isn't going to be able to outperform the other guy that doesn't do those things.
Yeah, and I think it's in a weird way also. Like, we all know we're going to die. Like, as of right now. We have no infinite lifespan, right? So the easiest person to submit to is the opponent you know is going to win. So how much easier is it to just be like, I just want to enjoy today. Like, yeah, I drink, I smoke, I don't give a shit. Like, nobody's promised tomorrow.
Yeah.
Well, like, yeah, of course, you can just give in and roll over and die because life is going to win. Or you can go at it hard. But if you go at it hard, you risk not being the oldest in the room at all times and making it the furthest, right? It's the ultimate, like, loss because you're fighting against an opponent that you know is going to win. But I think no matter what you do, and actually maybe this is from our youthful sports upbringing when we were on teams that might not have been the best in the league. And when we played the best in the league, you probably knew you were going to lose. We're going to get beat by 25. But I'm going to tell you, that team's going to go home and be like, fuck, I don't want to play them again.
Yeah, right.
That was a war.
Yeah.
Brunswick lacrosse, whatever. We'd get beat by 20, but I know one of their guys went home with like a slash mark that he's going to talk about for a month, right? And I think that's how you got to attack life in general. And I think in this environment too, in the exercise, nutrition, health environment, that becomes more relevant. And that becomes something that we can kind of empower the consumer with, because if they become mentally and physically stronger, they can attack whatever out there in the world that they need to encounter.
There's also something, again, from a mindset perspective, it's that the people that really focus on the details of the day that they're in are excited about the prospect of tomorrow.
Right.
And again, like, tomorrow's not promised, but it feels a hell of a lot better controlling the things of today than succumbing to something that is a what if.
Right.
You know, so again, like, you use the Super Bowl example. You're playing on Sunday, you might lose.
Yeah.
But you're not going to try hard in practice. You're not going to get good sleep. You're not going to do those things. So, you know, part of it is probably people are looking, you know, with death in mind. Like, they're like, well, it's going to happen anyways. I might as well just, mail it in.
And it's even one of those things where people sit and they're like, how long am I going to have to do this? And I don't even know how to answer that. I always say, what do you mean, how long? And they're like, well, if I sign up for this and I feel better in a year, is that and I stop, right? And to me, I guess maybe I need to reinvent how I think, but that doesn't make sense to me.
But that's the identity thing.
Like, I don't get that.
It's the identity thing. It's
I exercise every day. I feel great, and I'm going to stop, and I'm going to feel like shit. But how does that?
Like, all these things you have to continue for the most part.
Yeah.
Everything. If you want to feel the way that you feel.
Well, and you say it pretty clearly with the whole hormone replacement, because a lot of people are like, I don't want to be on anything lifelong.
Forever.
It's like, well, when you have a heart attack, you're on something lifelong. So imagine giving you back the thing that will avoid that, right?
Well, when was the last time a doctor's like, hey, take this statin for 3 months and you never have to take it again?
Yeah, never.
And that's okay.
Yeah, we've done that here a bunch.
But that's the thing. It's like,
on and off-boarded statins.
Almost everything that you do that's worth having, you should do for a long time.
Yeah, right.
Like, when do I stop exercise? You don't really.
Never.
When do I stop eating good? You don't really.
Right.
You know, like, what are we talking about?
Life. Should we game it? A little charades.
Ready for game?
Should we game it? Marcus, where are we at time-wise?
39 minutes right now.
Oh, 39. Is that good? Maybe we get a 45?
Well, it depends how long the game's going to be.
Let's see. We got charades. We could do animals for kids, celebrities, tasty foods, countries, facial expressions, summer, acted out, brands, mix, objects, things we have at home, occupations. What would you like?
Marcus chooses.
Marcus, you choose. You can guess too. Get your mic up. Oh, no, wait. We have to do. So I'll hold it up. You give me clues. I'll guess.
Okay.
You hold it up. Marcus, you give him clues. He'll guess. Marcus will hold it up. I'll give Marcus clues. He guesses. What would you like? Maybe Should we do mix?
Yeah, mix.
All right, we'll do mix. Ready? Place on forehead. Here we go.
Now I'm giving you things.
Yeah, and you
All right,
can't
ready.
use the word, right? You have to just descriptive terms.
Something you eat off of.
A plate.
Yep. I don't even know what this one is.
A word.
Pass.
Symbol. A door. A button. Elevator door button. Doorbell.
Dinner time.
Bell.
Yep. I'm just going to go in the shower and suds up with
Soap.
Yep. Oh, these could be magic. You can put them on pizza.
Mushrooms.
Yep. You don't use one, but if you got out of the shower and you were going to
A towel.
do something with your
Hairbrush. Hair dryer.
clothes, hair dryer. You could either be the hammer or the
Nail. How many does it go?
I have no idea. It's not jelly.
It's jam.
Yep.
Wait, let me see. Is there a time limit? I got 30.
30 what?
30 in a row. I wonder if there's a time limit. Hold on. We need to play. We're new to this, people. We have settings. So I did well, no?
Yeah, I think you did great.
Oh, 90 seconds. All right.
Star?
We'll do 90 seconds. We'll do 60 seconds. Maybe we'll do 30.
Our pre-production meeting didn't have this
We'll go 30.
included.
We'll go 30 seconds.
Yeah, that was 90 seconds.
Yeah, and you get an extra 1 second per win. Are you ready? You just hit mix. So then when the person guesses, you go like this. You tilt it down, it resets, and you just tilt it up. Who's guessing? Me?
Yeah, you got to go.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna tell you what to do. All right, you ready? Get ready. I'm ready. All right, you get out of the shower and use it to dry off.
Towel.
Good. You eat them usually like at a bar before you get some
appetizers.
Other types of food. They're crunchy. They have stuff on them. Maybe some
nachos.
Beef. Yep. It goes like this through the grass.
Snake.
Yeah. You stand on it. It's soft. It's in a house. It's like that thing.
An ottoman, rug, carpet.
Yeah, carpet. Good. You put it on if you're old and you walk around your house with them.
Suspenders.
No, they're your house.
Clothes, robe.
Things on your feet.
Slippers.
Yeah. All right, time's up. How many did I get?
That was good.
That was all right, right?
You guessed 0 of 5 card. I don't
know. No, I must have gotten some.
I don't know.
10? All right, Marcus, you're up. Wait, who's...
Yeah, how are we going to do this?
Oh, yeah, I could give him clues. You want to give him clues? We'll both give you clues.
Okay.
Would it be easier if we did this and then you shouted them out? So that
Yeah. 'Cause I don't have a camera on either.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
can't
Yeah, you
see.
get
Play
Mike.
again.
Yeah.
You guess. You tell Mike what
All
to
right,
guess.
all right.
Place on forehead.
It'll go.
Okay. You do it. You put it in the oven.
No, you're
terrible.
It's a activity you do.
Cook?
It's close.
Baking.
Close. Yeah, there you go. No idea what that is. On your head, you
Hat.
put close another
Cap.
word. Yeah, there you
Yarmulke.
go. Police officers have it.
Badge.
Yep.
Oh, nice.
Mike. A phone.
Yeah. Nah, to skip. Time's up.
How many did you get?
Sweating.
I like charades. This is good.
What's a jujube?
No idea.
A what?
A jujube.
I don't know. A
Cap.
J-U-J-U-B? Fact check.
J-U-J-U-B. Jujube.
Fact check. So listen, if anybody out there has some games you'd like, because we like charades, I did like the Would You Rather, but we'll do any type of game.
Yeah. We're
Questions.
down for games.
Concerns.
We're
Give
going
us
to
a
throw some
follow.
polls up next week, too.
Yeah, we'll do polls. Give
Get
us
some
a
content.
like. But listen, here's the thing about this. This is real, and this is an ask. This is an informationally based protocol. So ask us things you want to know. Truly, we will give you the recipes. We don't care, right? This is not Dr. Pepper or Coca-Cola. We're not hiding recipes. You can see it all behind the scenes, whatever goes on. But we want to help everybody else, right? Like,
Speaking of Dr. Pepper,
yes.
Can you guys name any flavors that are in the 23 or 33?
Like cinnamon maybe or something.
There's
yeah.
Fact check that.
Tonga Ali is in there definitely.
Probably.
Happy Friday.
See ya.
Adios.